Hey folks, it's Mr. Anderson again. We are going to continue our journey right now in Chapter 5 of our CPM ebook. Today we're going to be looking at Section 5.1.2. We've already investigated an alternative pattern, and today we're going to look at a subtle change in that pattern. We're going to see what an alternative looks like, right? And I'm going to ask you to do some imagining today. I've got a video for you that is going to maybe help with some understanding, and I'm going to ask you to consider what happens if you were to hold a ball and you were going to drop a ball that would bounce, right? Like a basketball or a tennis ball, or something like a racquetball, super ball, right? What would happen, right? Would that ball bounce back up, and could you catch it, right? Would you catch it at the same hand height that you dropped it from, or would you have to bend over or reach up to catch that, right? What would that look like? And consider that for a moment. And then consider maybe, what if you had a basketball in one hand and a, soccer ball in the other hand, and you dropped them at the same time from the same height? Would they bounce up the exact same, or would there be a difference? Right, and that kind of thinking is going to be the focus of our talk or our learning today. Right, many games depend on how a ball bounces. For example, if different basketballs rebound differently, one basketball would bounce differently off the backboard than another would, and this could cause basketball players to miss their shots. Right, every time we deal with sports, especially at the professional level, but we look for like uniformity in the way the game is played. That's why we have rules, right? And so balls bouncing off the backboard differently, or tennis players being able to hit a ball harder than others due to differences in the ball, right? That changes the game, and it may create an unfair advantage or different disadvantage, right? So for this reason, manufacturers have to make balls' bounciness conform to specific standards. Today, we're going to talk about the relationship between the height from which we drop a ball and the height to which it rebounds, okay? And what we've got here in 5-18, and this is where we start today, are what we call the bounciness standards for 4 different types of balls. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce something right now that we're going to refer to as the rebound ratio. And the rebound ratio is just simply going to be the start height compared to the rebound height. And we're going to let that rebound height be the numerator. So how high does it bounce back up after I drop it, divided by the height from where I dropped it from. Okay? And I went ahead and did one of these for you, and we're going to do the next couple together. So you may want to grab a calculator real quick. But ladies and gentlemen, the first bullet here says tennis balls should bounce approximately 111 centimeters when thrown from a height of 200 centimeters. So I went ahead and calculated that ratio. I took it as 111 over 200. I'm going to write this as a decimal for the purposes of comparison, right? So if I type in 111 divided by 200 into my calculator, I get 0.555. Now, I can't compare just one thing, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, and then we're going to make a comparison. Soccer balls. Soccer balls should bounce approximately 120 centimeters when thrown from a height of 200 centimeters onto a steel plate. So I'm going to take 120, I'm going to divide by 200, and my calculator says that's 0.6. So 120 divided by 200, and that is equal to 0.6. So which one has the larger number, right? And the answer is the soccer ball. And what that tells me outright is that the soccer ball is a bouncier ball. The soccer ball bounces higher than the tennis ball. All right, here we go. Basketball should bounce approximately 53.5 inches when thrown from a height of 72 inches onto a wooden floor. So I'm going to go ahead. I can have a a decimal when I'm making this calculation. And some people, when they're getting started with this, they ask questions like, Anderson, we were just doing the other stuff in centimeters, but we're doing this one in inches. Well, because I have inches over inches, those units end up canceling, and that's 100% okay. This does make an apples to apples comparison. So here we go, 53.5 divided by 72, and I've got 0.74305. So I'm just going to call that, I'm going to round it, 0.7 4, 3. Now look at that. Which one's the bounciest? Well, we're kind of going in order, right? The tennis balls are the least bouncy so far. Soccer balls are in the middle. And the basketballs are the bounciest. Okay, here we go. The last one. What do we have there? What are those? Squash balls. Squash is a racket game. You might play that in nets and rackets here at Park Center. Should bounce approximately 29.5 inches when thrown from a height of 100 inches. Onto a steel plate at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're adding some temperature conditions, right? Those are just specific to the sport. I'm not too worried about that. But I'm going to go ahead and take that, and I'm going to divide. This one's actually really, really easy to do. I don't even need a calculator. I'm just going to move that decimal, 0.295, okay? So let's eyeball all of those things, okay? It looks to me like the ball with the largest bouncy ratio or rebound ratio is the basketball. The one with the smallest is the squash ball. So how can we measure this? Well, I am going to use that rebound ratio to do my measuring of this. Which of the balls bounces the most? We gotta call out the basketball. And think about that, right? That's probably pretty similar with your experience, right? Most of us by this point in our lives have bounced a basketball. It's pretty bouncy. You can push it down. You get a nice little rebound there. And that's probably, necessary for the game, right? That's why it is that bouncy, right? Because those manufacturers can control that. Okay. And then how can you determine, moving on to 59, how can you determine if a ball meets the expected standards, right? And we're going to go ahead and calculate the rebound ratio, but specifically for a ball like a bouncy ball. Now, if we were in person in class, I'd give you a bouncy ball, I'd have you do this measurement. But due to COVID, we are not in person in class. So I found a rebound ratio video, and we're going to check this thing out for the purposes of creating a rebound ratio for a bouncy ball. So check this out. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead, click over here. I'm going to press play. We got the ball bouncing with a measurement device. Yardstick and a bouncy ball, no big deal. This person's going to take an average, drop from 36 inches, it bounces back to 27.5. They went ahead and, like I said, created multiple measurements for the purposes of reducing some variability, right? To make sure we didn't just get a good bounce or a bad bounce. No big deal. We're still going to be able to calculate the rebound ratio here. All right, so there it is real quick, ladies and gents. You guys see it. The average bounce height over the drop height. This is the rebound height over the start height is 0.75. That's the measurement that we want. So we're going to go ahead and take that back to our notes here. We've got a bouncy ball, and the rebound ratio for the bouncy ball, I'm going to go ahead and do this one in orange. The ratio for our bouncy ball is equal to, I believe they said 0.75, okay? And it looks to me, just based on what we see, if I've got to make a comparison, it looks to me like now we've got a new leader, right? The bouncy ball looks like it is a superior bouncy ball to the basketball, and some of us may have a bit of experience with these, and I remember when I was a kid, I'd take a bouncy ball and I'd try to throw it down as hard as I could. I'd see it go like way up high in the sky, maybe hit the roof of the gymnasium or something like that. And so maybe that's not surprising to you, but remember, it's just being dropped, not necessarily being thrown. So we're going to go ahead and use that rebound ratio, and we're going to continue. We're going to move on with it, and we're going to talk about what kind of a graph this might help us create in this lesson as well as moving forward, okay? So let's go ahead. Let's keep in mind that 0.75 is the rebound ratio for the bouncy ball. And normally I'd have you guys work with your team, But today I've got to do some of the modeling for you, and I've got to show you guys some of these things. So feel free to take them down and throw these in your notes, like we're working together in person, right? In 5-19, does the height from which the ball is dropped depend on the rebound height, or is it the other way around? Now, I went ahead and I kind of identified that for you. I said the height from which it's dropped is the independent variable. The starting height is the independent variable. The dependent variable is the rebound height, right? And what that means is the higher I drop the ball from, the farther it's going to bounce up. The smaller I drop the ball from, it's not going to bounce up as high. Okay? If I drop it from a fairly medium height, I'm going to get a medium bounce back, and so on and so forth. Okay? That's the importance of the independent and dependent piece here. It also is very, very necessary when it comes to what we're about to do in the next step here, some graphing. So I took some liberties and I created a bit of a graph using my good old buddy Desmos.com, and we're going to graph our results here. And I made this ahead of time. We've got our starting height, our independent variable on the x-axis. We've got our rebound height on the y-axis, our dependent variable. And we're going to draw a line that fits our data. And this line should go through the origin, and I'll explain why in just a second. And then we're going to talk about what that origin represents. So one more time, back to the video. Okay, they give me the drop height of 36 inches, and they give me the bounce height of 27.09. We're going to call that 27 for all practical purposes. So the starting height of the drop height of 36 inches, that's way the heck out here. And I'm going to straighten out my line here. And they give me the rebound height way up here. And where those two things cross, remember that's how we graph lines, right? That is a point that represents those starting heights and those drop heights. Now, I already said it should go through 0, 0, and I'll make sense out of this in just a moment. But what we're able to do then is we're able to create a connection here. Maybe. Is that going to straighten out? There we go. We're able to, oh, I got to redo that. Sorry. We're able to create a connection here, and it's going to show me all of the rebound heights for the drop heights. And ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to find something here. My rebound ratio, was 0.75, and what I hope I can create, 0.75, what I hope I can create for you is a connection all the way back to something we've done for, you know, a couple units now. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick, you know, a couple random points on my graph. And, oh, I don't know. Let me see. This is a pretty good one. We'll start there at 0, 0. And this is another pretty good one. And then this is another pretty good one. And this is another pretty good one. Now, those of you guys might, who know a little bit about this, you might see a little method to my madness already. But remember, like I said, that ratio is 0.75. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that if I go ahead and start to do some things like throw in a slope triangle here, I did. I counted up 3 and I counted over 4. And if I put my rise over my run, and I'm well aware that this wasn't perfect, right? It was really 27.09 over 36, but I can see very, very nicely there that works out to be that 0.75. And you're asking yourself, well, Anderson, why? Why does this go through things like the origin? Well, remember this right here, this origin is the point 0, 0. Our rebound ratio is going to be constant, and that's of course meaning wherever I drop from, it's always going to rebound 75% of that drop height. And it should go through the origin. I started to say this, I didn't finish it, because if I drop from a height of 0 centimeters or 0 inches, it's not going to rebound, right? It's going to be on the ground. If I started on the ground, it's not bouncing up off the ground. That's not how physics and energy work. That's why we're going to head through that origin of 0, 0. We're going to take this and we're going to advance this in our next lesson. And I'm not going to tackle part C here where we find the equation, but I do have, folks, a little bit of review preview here. And again, the goal of trying this review preview is it gives us an idea of what kind of things we might be struggling with and allows us to formalize some of those questions that we might need to ask. Ladies and gents, thanks for watching. Have a great day.